of stuff. So.
And they don't offer it during that session.
No, they offer everyone.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sandy's waving.
Okay, so here we are, session number 4. It doesn't seem like that it's been that long, but here we are ready for marketing, promotion, and customer service. We are very privileged tonight to have Paul Baker with Turf Pros, who was our business challenge participant last year. And so he can give you some insight maybe into some of the things he experienced that'll help you out. And then Jenna Wagner is with Southwest Virginia Cultural Heritage Foundation, Friends of Southwest Virginia, and Outdoor Recreation. And she's going to tell you all of the marketing tools that they use to help outdoor recreation business in Southwest Virginia. So I'm not going to talk any longer because we've got a long night ahead.
Phew,
Paul is Paul Baker with Turf Pros.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good, good. Is that your projector? That thing's.
That's what you get for being
Yeah. Tell me about it. That thing's bright. Oh, that's better. Good deal. Good deal. I'm just going to touch on some customer service stuff that I've over the course of starting my business the last couple years. Some of it may not pertain. I've got a retail store in Abingdon that has mowers and handheld equipment. We have a parts department and service department. So customer service is pretty much crucial at our business. I would say it's probably the #1 priority at Turf Pros. But so some of this stuff, depending on what you guys want to do, it may or may not be as crucial at your business. But I did a little bit of investigating, and the #1 reason that consumers switch products is because of customer service and the lack thereof. So 2/3 of new businesses fail in 2 years. 50% of businesses fail within 5 years. 1/3 of new businesses fail in 10 years. So going into this, the odds are against us all. That's not very good statistics, but I just want you to know that customer service is a very crucial part to everything that you're going to do at your new business. So one thing I wanted to touch on is company vision, what your company values are, your mission statement. Our motto at Turf Pros is right people, right place, right products. That was sort of what we came up with when we opened. But I started going through the customer stuff, and one thing that I thought of was on your website, your Facebook page, and even your storefront, if you have one. A lot of times these days, that's the first thing that a customer sees. They'll go to Facebook and a website before they even come in and give you an opportunity to talk to them. So it kind of leads into the marketing stuff. But one thing that I did want to mention is if you do a website, make sure it's easy to navigate. If you have a Facebook page, which I recommend extremely, I would almost have a Facebook page before I would have a website anymore. One thing I noticed, I would try and keep politics, religion, and other things off of it. At least for us, that it's just kind of I guess a red flag. In the storefront, dirty, cluttered, don't have a dark storefront. That was just a few things I thought of for first impression for customers that that might be coming in. Interaction. One of the biggest things I've seen over the last 19, 20 years of me being in sales was acknowledging the customer. It sounds pretty simple, but I've experienced it, and I'd say a lot of you guys have too, going into a place of business and just kind of doing this number and interested in buying something, and people are going by you all over, nothing. So that was one thing that I learned is somebody comes in, give them a handshake, tell them hi, and acknowledge that they're there. If you're in a business and let's say you don't have a storefront, another pet peeve of mine was if somebody sends you an email, calls you on the phone, or even goes as far as sending you a Facebook message, don't leave them hanging. Get to it. That's another thing that I've noticed. At some of the businesses that I was at, somebody would call and they wouldn't get a call back. That was a no-no. Like I say, even a Facebook message. From time to time, we get Facebook messages about servicing lawnmowers or having parts in stock or something like that, and I always try to check it throughout the day because anymore, the difference between answering at lunchtime and answering at 4 o'clock may mean they've decided to go somewhere else. So I think that's pretty important. Consumers' patience in general these days between having Amazon, Walmart, this place, that place, they've got a lot of options, and everyone's patience seems to be a lot thinner. So I feel like that's really a crucial part is just don't leave a customer hanging. Another thing, your body and your voice language. Y'all can probably tell I'm kind of nervous. So, but just attentiveness, like I say, talking to them, finding out what their needs are. Look them in the eye when you're talking to them. If you're talking to them on the phone, don't have a bunch of mess going on in the background. I know there's been several times that I've been trying to get something bought or talking to somebody about something, and there's beating and banging and all kinds of things going on in the background. And that's like I say, a lot of this stuff is pretty simple, but I've been amazed over the last however long that I've been in sales, since 2000, how this stuff gets kind of swept under the carpet. Clean, well-dressed, take a bath. I felt like being clean, having clean clothes. Like I say, this stuff's pretty simple, but it goes a long way. Product knowledge is another thing, and I keep thinking about some of my personal experiences, but if you go in somewhere, you're looking to buy something, and you approach a salesman or somebody at the store, and they don't know anything about the product, kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, especially with depending on how your personality is. I know with mine it does. So make sure you know your product, what you're selling. If you're providing a service, make sure you know what your services are, how it can help the customer, and so forth. There's 4 types of personalities that I wanted to mention, and this has been in some training that I've had along the way with some Dale Carnegie folks and even some of the other companies that I've worked for. But there's 4 types of personalities pretty much that you'll encounter when you're trying to sell people. The first one is a sociable personality, which is sort of where I put myself. They like to talk. They're not too worried about price. They want to tell you about what's going on in their life. It's generally a pretty quick sale. The second one is an analytical personality. These are hard sales, at least in our business, in the equipment business. they sort of have an engineer mentality. They want to know about every little detail on the equipment, all the widgets, all the gadgets, where it's made. They usually go home, think about it, come back, look at it some more, go home, come back. There's a reserved personality. This is a person that don't really know what your product is about. They haven't done a lot of research, and you generally have to hold their hand through the process. A lot of times these are your best customers. They don't know a lot about it, and this is your chance to shine, to show them your products, tell them what you're about, tell them what values you bring as a company to them. The fourth one I had was a bully. This person kind of knows everything before he comes in. Sort of where I put Alan when I sold him a lawnmower. But no, they always want a deal. They know everything. They know more than you do. Those are pretty hard personalities to work through. But I just wanted to mention those 4 personalities because since I've been in sales, I have noticed that you have to almost tailor your sales pitch or how you handle these folks. You have to kind of tailor-made it to them because everybody's got a different personality. And so it really does work, and you can't always think about it. A lot of it comes with time, but you obviously can't, when somebody comes in your place of business, you can't start making it out in your head about, I wonder if they're a sociable bully or what have you. But it just helps to know, and like I say, a lot of it comes with time and just interacting with folks. You'll get better with it. I was horrible when I first started. I just thought that everybody was the same. They wanted to hear the same spiel on it, and I was wrong. So problems and confrontations. Just listen goes a long way, and I know that's pretty simple again, but that seems patience these days and time, but just listen to the people that's coming through your door. If they have an issue with what you've sold them or service you've provided with them, just take your time and listen to them and empathize with them and actually care. That's probably gotten me as far as anything this past year in Turf Pros was just listening and taking time out of your day, whether you had it or not, to find out more about these people. Be their friend. You'll meet a lot of good people. I met that one over there. I met that one back there. Met a lot of good folks within the past year that I would probably maintain relationships with if we closed our doors tomorrow. So just take time, listen to them, find a solution to fix it, and just do it. Follow through. That seems to be another issue with customer service these days is people come up and they'll tell you what they're going to do and how they're going to fix it, but if they don't follow through, the rest of it doesn't matter. So another big thing that I wanted to mention, and it's the last thing, but I saved it for last because this is something else that I guess over the last year is probably I've learned a lot from urgency. We still, being a year in, we don't have a big bank account. We've got 3 people on the payroll, but having a sense of urgency, really, whether it's a new business or not a new business, it almost teaches you to go from one task to another task to another task. And before long, when you start doing that, it becomes routine for you. It's easy to get complacent, especially if you start to get a little money in the bank. In our business, here before long, April, May, our bank account will look pretty good. But by the time November and December rolls around, you're going, holy crap, where'd all this money go? So all year long and every day of my life, as soon as my feet hit the floor, everything that I do is an urgency. I don't care if it's brushing my teeth, going to the gas station, doing something at work, and it's retrained. It's really retrained the way I think and look at things as far as the amount of stuff that I can get done in a day. If I look at how I do now versus 7 or 8 years ago, it astonishes me at how little I was really doing then, and I have the same amount of hours in the day. So that was one thing, and I think you guys will find out as you're wearing multiple hats, doing your new business, just kind of treat everything as very high importance, and it's very urgent. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that you can get a lot done during a day. So that's all I have.
Anybody have questions for Tom? What's the one thing that you pride yourself on with your business?
Probably the biggest thing was that I started from nothing. I mean, I started working a second job back in around 2011 and saved money from then until 2017 or 18, and then started formulating a plan and did this class and business plan, and I started talking to a few people, and I'm pretty proud of myself that I was able to do it without anybody helping me. I mean, I've obviously had people help me. My parents have helped me. I've had some folks that gave me advice, but as far as somebody stroking a check and saying, here's 200 grand or whatever, pretty proud of myself that I was able to stick with it and hang through, because it's been tough. I mean, I haven't had a paycheck since August of 2018. So I'm still hanging in there, but it's tough. It really is. So, but I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I'm proud of.
So as far as how you deal with your customers, what do you think is the key? The one thing that's the key.
To me, is respecting them and talking to them. It has blown my mind at how we've. I haven't kept up with it because I didn't really think about it at the time, but we have sold a lot of equipment this year because folks have been to other businesses, went in, either didn't get talked to, were talked down to, or were just treated like they just didn't feel like they got treated fairly. We've sold a bunch of equipment just for that reason, because I don't care how much time I spend with them. If I have to I've gone to people's houses after work to talk to them, looked at their yards. I've just spent time with them and talked to them, and that, to me, that's gotten me as far as anything. And I think that's, with the amount of options that people have these days. I compete with Amazon and a lot of other vendors on parts, and there's a lot of other equipment places in Abingdon and Bristol, but people's patience are thin these days, and they've got a lot of places else they can go buy their stuff. So don't ever take anybody for granted, whether they're spending $5 or $5,000.
So you're saying you pretty much invested your time in them?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if they don't come through your door, I mean, if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. I mean, they always say the customer's right, and to some extent, the customer is always right. If you want to go out back and kick and scream and cuss whenever they leave, that's fine. But the customer is always right. You may have to figure out different avenues to make things work. But I mean, that's the only way I've found to operate. So.
One thing you did touch on, and this happened today to me, I got a reservation for a Boy Scout troop. They hit me up on my website. I just happened to look down on my cell phone, saw it lit up, looked at it. It was like 4:34 that he had sent that to me. 4:36, I was calling him back. I got the reservation. And the first words out of his mouth after I introduced myself, I didn't expect you to call back so quick. And that happens so many times in my line of work with my pay lick and my campground, is customers usually, when they fill something out or they send something in, they don't expect to hear from you right away because society's gone that way. It's like he said, you know. So, you know, if I would have waited a couple more days and waited until tomorrow to make that, he might have made that reservation somewhere else, and I'd have lost money on it. So that's one thing that, you know, they're always, as soon as you see a message pop up and you get back to them, and it might be a complaint or it might be just inquiring on something. I don't get them all, but I answer them as quick as I can. And a lot of them, the first words out of their mouth is, wow, that was quick. You know?
Do something, do something different to set yourself apart. I send out a lot of thank you cards. A lot of times throughout the day, if I have time, I'll just randomly go through my customer list and call somebody and say, hey, what's up? How you doing? What's going on in your world? You know, and it kind of blows people's minds that you're not asking them for business. You're just talking. Try and find some way to be different, because there's tons of people in my line of work, and I dare say that everybody in here, there's going to be a lot of competition in your line of work. So be different. Do something different that will trigger in people's minds that that you're where they want to be. You're the person they want to go to. Just try and think of something different. And it's not always easy. I mean, there's only so much you can do, but even little things like making phone calls goes a long way sometimes.
And sometimes you might not have the immediate solution, but the fact is, if you call them and say, I acknowledge you called me,
Absolutely.
I understand you got a problem, maybe discuss it with them, make sure
Yeah.
you fully understand what the problem is, and I'm working on it, and I will call you back tomorrow, or I'll call, you know, so they know that you do care. That tells
Yeah.
them, in other words, saying, oh gosh, I don't have a solution, I'm not calling them back till I do.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than been hanging out to
Then by
dry.
the time you call them back, they're mad, they're upset with you.
You've just let them steam for a few hours is all you've
Exactly.
accomplished. So if you've got nothing to tell them other than, hey man,
Yeah.
I don't know what
That
we're going to do to
happens me
fix it.
sometimes, and
Yeah.
At first, I was terrified, thinking, I have to have a solution before I call them back, but
That
that's
used-
absolutely incorrect.
Confrontations used to, I struggled with that.
Yeah, me
I didn't have any problem talking to new people, not a problem. But when an issue come up, I was doing this number every
You
time.
want to solve it for them.
You do,
might not
and you want to
be
help
able
them.
to. Right.
But I've learned that if you're upfront with people and honest with them,
Yes.
9 times out of 10 they'll give you a chance. Just don't mess it up.
Yes. And if you
So-
say you're going to call them tomorrow, you better call.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you've got an email contact information, read your emails. You know, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You fill an email form out, and then it's 48 or hours or 2 or 3 days or whatever before you even, I've already forgotten I called him. By then, I've done something else.
And something else, you guys, I'm out at exit 17. I've had to go through the same thing you're getting ready to go through with insurance and internet and websites and this and this and this and this. If I can help you guys out in any way, I'm by no means the best, the go-to guy on all this stuff, but I've had to do it, and I've had to cut a lot of corners by buying stuff online, finding ways to get a nice looking website for a little bit of money, just different things. So if I can help you guys in any way, just let me know. Come by and see me, or call me, or email me. And if I don't get back to you quick, then you can then you can call me about it.
If you buy a lawnmower from me, make sure you get the blades with it.
Any more questions while we're changing microphones or comments?
Good job, hey!
While we're switching out,
Oh,
in 2 weeks is the fun part of it, is pitch night. So we're going to draw numbers for pitch order. Right on the inside.
8 minutes. 8 minutes.
if you go first, you get to drink the rest.
I can say a lot of ums in 8 minutes.
Yeah, that's my problem.
You know, it doesn't
seem like that long, but when you're standing up there, it is going to feel like a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
You go first, you get the drink, the rest
Then I'm
of
going to have a problem. I think pressing everything.
Yeah, you probably the thing is
How do you
get
compress and make
everything
a
out, all of a
point?
sudden you're 10, 12 minutes.
Then you also have to be careful not to ramble too.
Yes.
Like, that's, you know, trying to think of stuff.
And I get so excited sometimes
So it's
about
8 minutes?
what I'm wearing.
Okay.
Oh, no!
Are you number one?
That's all right, you don't have to sit around and drink.
Mine was funny last year.
Do you want number 11?
That's one place.
I got 2 ones. How many is there? Are you last? I do. I want mine over with.
You're not gonna believe this, but that's my line.
Okay.
That, no.
Who got,
Not 13.
who got number 1?
She's so excited.
I can see the excitement in your eyes. Okay.
Hey, you want to trade?
I already got off, but I'm also getting over that.
Two.
Oh, you.
So you can move
Oh, that's a
up
good
and drink.
Three.
I don't know.
What's your name? Shane. 4. Justin. Okay, 5. Smith. 6.
I can't tell if mine's a 6 or a 9.
If it's a 9, it's got a line underneath.
Okay, then I'm 6.
Okay.
Official.
7.
Oh.
See, if you're 6 or later, everybody will be asleep, so.
Trying to say we're gonna pull this over. We do that with fatigue, so maybe.
So you're 7?
Yes, ma'am.
8. Okay, 9.
9.
10. You see the excitement in your...
Question.
Well. And 13. Did I miss you?
I'm number 11.
Oh,
Yeah, you missed the letter.
sorry.
It's me. I'm number 11.
Sorry about that. Okay, who is 13? Ah. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay, Beth.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Are y'all ready? Okay. Well, good evening. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited about this. I love marketing and graphic design and social media and promotion and customer service and all those things that kind of fit within that marketing and advertising realm. So I'm really excited to present this information to y'all. So we have about an hour and 45 minutes or so. So I'm going to cover a lot of ground. So if you have questions, stop me. But just before we kind of dig into the content, how many people in the room would consider themselves a marketing beginner? No info at all.
No, whatever the step above that is.
Okay. We'll call you intermediate, maybe? Okay. Super advanced marketers. How many do we say? Okay. So maybe a mix of all things. So we'll try to cover a lot of different levels of marketing. I'm going to touch on, and by the way, I'm Jenna Wagner. I do public relations and marketing for Friends of Southwest Virginia. I also want to introduce Bill May with Stellar Studios. So we work with a creative agency out of Johnson City to do some work for us. So you may be thinking, covering Southwest Virginia, it's 19 counties and 4 cities. Like, what is this lady going to tell me? How is that going to relate to what I do from a small business perspective? But you would be surprised to know that we don't have as large of a marketing budget as you would think. So a lot of things that we do from a marketing perspective have to be in a very innovative, streamlined, connective way so that we get the most bang for our buck. So a little bit of information about our organization. So if you may or may not be aware that back in 2016, we launched a regional destination brand for Southwest Virginia. So as I mentioned, Southwest Virginia covers 19 counties, 4 cities, and 53 communities. So we go from furthest tip of the state of Virginia in Lee County all the way up to Franklin County. So basically everything that's west of Roanoke. So a fairly large footprint, and we are actually split between a government body and a nonprofit body. So we are a little bit of a hybrid in that we cover a lot of ground. We have a lot of different logos and brands that fall in our group, if you will. And then we also assist the Crooked Road with their marketing efforts, and Round the Mountain, which is our artisan network. So the Crooked Road, as you all know, is one of the most powerful and unique brands that we have in Southwest Virginia. So all of those kind of fall under our umbrella. So the overall mission of our organization, and again, I'm not going to kind of dig into too much about what our group does, but we are regional focused. But we also run and operate the Southwest Virginia Cultural Center, which is just up on the hill, formerly Heartwood. So we do have that customer service kind of interesting layer to what we do from a marketing perspective that really allows us to be able to have an additional touch point with the customer, with people that are visiting the region, with residents of the region that a lot of destinations don't necessarily have. So overall mission, we're really looking to reinvent the economy of Southwest Virginia through creative economy initiatives that inspire entrepreneurship, increase visitation, and attract new residents, and that's kind of how it breaks down. Again, not super relevant, but we'll dig into more of the marketing side of things. So what is Southwest Virginia? 19 counties, 4 cities, 53 towns, but we cover crafts, artisans, outdoor recreation, downtowns, music, wine, beer, food, small business, all of you in this room. So this is the area that we cover. So just as an overview for today, we're going to touch a little bit on branding. I'm going to talk about marketing on a small budget, how to do that in a sustainable way. We'll talk about target audiences, storytelling, content, how you go about storytelling and content. We'll talk about social media, marketing plans, public relations, customer service we'll hit on as well. Paul did a great job, but we'll dig into that a little bit more, and we'll talk about partnership potential. So with branding, how many people think that a brand is the logo that I have on my shirt? How many think that it's about who you are as a business owner and the product that you have to offer? Okay. Yeah, so it's about your story. So Southwest Virginia brand, this is some of just the logo package that we use. But we take the approach of it's not about these logos. So any marketing, any advertising that we do is really a reflection of us as a brand. Who is Southwest Virginia? What is Southwest Virginia? Each of our communities are different. Our artisans are different. Our musicians are different. All of our assets within the region are very unique. So that's part of what makes up really the brand of Southwest Virginia. Even when it comes to the content that we're pushing out on social media, on our website, in our emails, it all has that very distinct sound. Like it has, we're talking to an audience in a very Southwest Virginia way, in a very authentic way. We're not trying to be something that we're not. Like we're Southwest Virginia. We're all from this area, and it's something that we love and hold dear to our hearts. So we want to make sure that that's reflective to anyone that we're promoting content to. Y'all recognize these logos? What's the one on the far left? Y'all think it's about the circle with the dot? What do y'all do when you go to Target? Spend too much money? Yeah, you always find something that you don't need at Target. What about the second one? Okay. How many have Apple products? iPhones? Androids? We love Androids too. But it's about their brand. It's about the way you feel when you see their commercials. It's about the way you feel when you buy a new Apple product. Third one? Nike. Who loves Nike? Only buys Nike product. But they have this persona that they display, whether it be athletes, whether it be lounging around the house in, sweats. Fourth one? Anybody own one? Okay, yeah. So how do you feel? How do you feel when you're driving your Mustang?
I don't drive it.
Okay.
My husband redid it, so I'm not driving.
Okay.
But I love driving it.
All right, cool. But it makes you feel cool and yeah. Last one. Virginia is for lovers. So this is the state tourism brand. So oldest state tourism brand in the entire United States. They just celebrated their 50 years of love. So very recognizable brand. These are the brands that we cover. So a lot of different versions, if you will. So all different assets and parts of our organization, whether it be our beer trail in the upper left-hand corner, our government organization, our nonprofit, our destination brand, the cultural center, the Crooked Road, Round the Mountain, they all have a similar feel, right? Like similar colors, mountain schemes, all that stuff. But ultimately, it's not about these logos. It's about the stories that we're telling behind it. First things first, how many of you have done a SWOT analysis? Okay, cool. All right. So really when you're approaching your marketing, you really need to assess kind of what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your opportunities are, and what your threats are. So here's some examples of that as it relates to marketing. So some of your strengths could be that your spouse loves Facebook, on it all the time. Your child's a graphic design student, maybe a strength that you didn't consider. Your good friend's a writer for the local newspaper. Can you call them and get them to write a story for you? You're extremely creative. You're not shy. You love to network and form relationships fast. Your employees are very customer friendly. Some weaknesses: cash flow. Staff has no marketing experience. Poor customer service feedback. Capacity and time limitations. Past advertising hasn't worked. And you all can do this for your own. These are just kind of examples to give you some insight. Opportunities could be social media, public relations, co-op advertising, niche markets, referrals. Threats could be that your competitor has more marketing money, negative media coverage, et cetera, past business failure. So really your initial steps when you're approaching how you're going to market your company is really to identify your role within the community. What do you have that makes you different from anybody else? Why am I going to come buy your product over somebody else's? Why would I step foot in your store? So that could be starting with an inventory of assets. How many people do you have? What's the situation? What makes you special? Inventory of opportunities, choosing the most beneficial ROI, and then ultimately building your marketing plan, executing on it, tracking so that you can analyze the numbers and adjust accordingly. So, marketing with a small budget. These are some of the challenges that we face from kind of that Southwest Virginia perspective. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we don't have a large budget by any means. So we do cover 19 counties and 4 cities, but we approach our marketing in a much more resourceful way, if you will. And we really rely on third parties like Stellar. We rely on user-generated content. We rely on our partners to help us to tell these stories because ultimately we're a marketing team of one. I'm the only marketing person on our team. So I wear a lot of different hats. So I kind of analyze our budget every year and say, okay, what can I do myself and what can I get a third party to work with me on? So large footprint, we can't be everywhere at once. 19 counties and 4 cities. I wish I could be in every community on a given day. I would love to have that kind of interaction with our partners and really kind of get a feel for what their needs are. But again, we're a regional organization, so we kind of have to approach our marketing from a regional focus. So we can't be too specific to certain communities. We have to spread the love a little bit. We have a small team. We have limited funds. Our partners are super overwhelmed. Not every community in Southwest Virginia has a marketing person. Not all of them have a marketing budget. We've got marketing budgets from $150,000 to $5,000. So you've got all across the board, everywhere in between. So a lot of the programs that we've built from a marketing perspective for Southwest Virginia is really, what do our partners need? What can businesses still be a part of that's affordable, that's resourceful, and it's not something that it's just going to add one more thing to their list. And we're also talking to multiple audiences. As you all saw with the slide that had all the logos on it, we have a lot of different brands that we cover, which also means we have several websites that we manage, several different social media platforms. So we have to talk to a variety of different audiences on a given day. Any questions so far? Okay. Know your audience and customer. So if y'all talked about target audience, like demographics, that kind of thing yet? No? Okay. So we'll dig into this a little bit. No, just a little bit. So really when I say target audience, I mean, what is your target customer? Who do you want to set foot in your store? Who do you want to purchase your product? And you may, like the answer may be, well, I want everybody to come to my store, which may be the case. We do want tons of customers, but there is that specific customer that you're trying to appeal to, whether it's women, men, millennials, boomers, within a 100-mile radius, within a 15-mile radius. So there's all different kind of demographics that factor in to who your target customer is. So that could be demographics, geography, needs and wants. And your target customer right now, when you're building your marketing plan, may change after you get into it for a year. It may be that you decide you need to head in a different direction. Maybe your marketing's not working. Where do you find this information? Conversations, as Paul mentioned, having conversations with customers, really digging into who is your ideal customer. Surveys are always good. We use a tool called SurveyMonkey, super cheap, easy to do surveys. Area clubs are also really resourceful if there's actually a club that's in the business that you're wanting to go into. Your competitors have lots of great information, and not that I'm telling you to call up your competitor and ask who their ideal customer is, but it may not be a bad idea to walk into their store and say, hey, like, who do you all appeal to here? Who's your target customer? And chances are they're probably going to tell you, not that you're competing with them directly, but typically what's good for them is also good for you. Demographic profiles, you can call any magazine, media company. They'll give you circulation numbers, household numbers, how many people live within a 50-mile radius, all that information they'll give you offhand. Social media, how many people already have social media for their business? Okay, good. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of different platforms out there. Social media has some great analytics, and as you all know, different social channels have different audiences, and so you have to speak to them in different ways. So you can see lots of information about people, especially on Facebook and Instagram. Website analytics, already have a website? Some? Okay. And then partner organizations. Your Washington County Chamber, the Visit Abingdon, CVB, Town of Abingdon, all have great information about demographics and audiences within this area. So from Southwest Virginia's perspective, the regional group, this is the way that we approach our target markets. So this is really where kind of the meat and potatoes of our marketing plan lies. So it's not that we don't do marketing in other areas, but if we're going to do targeted spends, this is typically where we focus. So Southwest Virginia, you'd be surprised at how many residents don't know about what's right in their backyard. To get someone to drive from Marion to Blacksburg is sometimes harder than you would think, and they don't know what hiking trails there are, don't know that there's a new brewery that's opened. So we do a lot of marketing within the region. Also, just larger Virginia. We do spend some of our advertising dollars in the rest of the state of Virginia, so especially in the Richmond area. As you all are probably aware, we're closer to 7 or 8 state capitals here where we stand than we are to Richmond. So there's a lot of folks in Richmond in that urban city type environment that aren't aware of what's down here in Southwest Virginia. Businesses, local government, entrepreneurs, etc. And then just from an external perspective, we focus on that 6-hour kind of drive market surrounding states that are within that kind of window of time. This is just one profile of a visitor that we try to reach. Again, this is not to say that we don't focus on other age demographics or other interests, but we do put some of our marketing dollars towards that 25 to 34-year-old age range, those that are interested in music, arts and culture, food, outdoors, just lifestyle in general. I did throw some gifts in here, y'all, to lighten the mood here. I love The Office, so that's one that I picked. But more than anything, do your research. If you really, really want to dig into what customers are coming in your door or what potential customers are coming in your door, it takes time. And it takes crunching numbers and just digging into the research. And it may not be everybody's favorite thing. Analytics are not my favorite thing. So I call Bill and say, hey, can you dig into the analytics for me? Because ultimately there's other people that are a lot better at that kind of thing than I am. But do your research, it's really important. All right, so we'll get into storytelling and content. I love this quote. You can never go wrong by investing in communities and the human beings within them. So a lot of our marketing really focuses on that storytelling side of things. So how many people think that they have a great story? If somebody were to ask you, who are you as a person? You're like, this is me. I have the best story ever. You know, when you introduce yourself and somebody says, hey, what's your fun fact? Anybody have one that they really want to say, want to share? I'll say mine.
Upside down and backwards.
You what?
I can ride upside down and backwards.
You can, on a horse?
No, right.
Oh, right.
Southwest Virginia accent. You can write upside down and backwards. I was going to be really impressed. Yeah. That's still impressive, writing upside down and backwards. Cool. But y'all know, like Southwest Virginia, Abingdon, we all have stories. We talk about stories every day. Typically when you're talking on the phone with a relative or a friend, somebody says, hey, what's been going on? You go into this big, long, in-depth story about something that happened in your day. It's no short, 2-minute spiel, which is hard to do elevator pitches for sure. So we focus a lot on storytelling and content. We want everything that we produce to be authentic, for people to know that Southwest Virginia is this very special place that you can't experience anywhere else in the world. So how do we do that? What is content? When I say content, really what I mean is photography, videography, blogs, itineraries, podcasts, news articles, all of those things kind of fall within that content realm. So we invest the marketing dollars that we have, we invest in these things. Because ultimately, if I can have a hook for a customer, if I can give them a story that they're going to be inspired by, or it's something that they're going to be interested in, ultimately, they're going to want to come see it. The way that we approach our marketing at the Cultural Center, typically our demographic skews much older. I mean, we appeal to a really 60 to 72 age demographic. And a lot of people come in and do buy art. They want to buy art for their family, et cetera, et cetera. And we do have younger people come in and they'll buy a piece of art, they'll buy a product, but it's because there's a story attached to it. It's not because they want that tangible thing, it's because they want something to remember the experience by. So, event information also. So, in the past, over the past couple of years, we launched the brand for the region, Southwest Virginia, in the fall of 2016. So when we started
my first day, I was kind of assessing everything, seeing what platforms do we have, what do our websites look like, how many social media channels do we have, are we engaging with people on them. We had this really great brand, all of these fun logos. I was like, man, this is so awesome. What are we going to do with all this? What's going to be this first thing? So when I started, our Instagram had 187 followers. I take that back. 10 posts and 187 followers. And today, Southwest Virginia, we have just shy of 11,000. So 3 years have seen some fairly significant growth, and we don't really spend a ton of money on Instagram. But what we do is we engage with people. We comment on their photos. We like their photos. We put out that this is a brand that they can get behind, a brand that's authentic. We're not trying to put on a front. Every photo, if you go to our Instagram right now, every photo that we put up is either a photo that we've taken, a video that we've taken, or something that someone that was visiting this region took and hashtagged SWVA. So it has been in the past all user-generated content. So you all might think I'm crazy, but when I first inherited our Instagram, I would go through and I would, you know how you see kind of like who you should follow? I would go through and follow channels from businesses in the region that didn't even know we existed. And so me just following them, they're like, oh, cool, Southwest Virginia, like let me follow that back. And I would go through, and our hashtag is SWVA, hashtag SWVA. So ultimately use that, but also the state tourism's hashtag is LoveVA, which they pull a lot of content from as well. But I would follow our hashtag, and I would just go through and like photos. And it wasn't that, it was because I liked the photo, but a lot of people just didn't know we existed. So it really wasn't that we were doing anything crazy creative on Instagram. It was that we were finally pushing content out there, we were engaging with people, and we were using their stuff. So I don't think on Instagram have I ever asked to use a photo and someone told me no. Like, of course, everybody wants their content on a brand page, like who doesn't? So that's kind of how we've done Instagram. Twitter's different, Facebook's different, obviously. But Instagram in particular, we are very heavy on the user-generated content side. So we get that content from partners, residents, travelers, brand ambassadors, people in the region. You'd be surprised, like I say this in presentations all the time, especially with our board members and things. We'll be driving down the road, headed to work. There'll be this amazing sunrise. And I'm like, man, that's a cool sunrise. And it wasn't until I started thinking about the work that was happening in the region that, oh, everybody doesn't get to experience this sunrise. Like, there's nothing like a Southwest Virginia sunrise. There's nothing like a sunset in this region with the mountains and the lakes. And so it's beautiful. So we want to share that with the world, have them come experience and shop in your businesses and give you money. So tell me a story. So about a year ago now, we started a program really because we knew that storytelling and content was something that we wanted to put a dedicated effort behind. So we launched this big campaign. We were calling it the Southwest Virginia Brand Ambassadors. And we were going to invite all of these people to come and talk about Southwest Virginia, and we're going to give them some merchandise, and they were just going to spread the good word. And so as we dug into it, we ended up getting 250 applications, which blew me away. I didn't think we were going to get that many people interested. So we had them fill out a form, and it was basically like, where are you from? What's your social media? Why do you love Southwest Virginia? And so we started digging into the responses. And I'm like, man, I just had no idea the true love for the region until I started reading the responses. Ultimately, what we figured out we needed was people that were in the region, shooting photos, doing videos, writing blogs. So we ended up selecting 6 folks. Some of these you might recognize. Nicole, she's from the Abingdon area. Chad's from the Abingdon area. But they all produce different types of content. Some of them are really great photographers. Others are more focused in the video realm. But they all have this mix of the content that they're producing and they're putting out to the public. So with that, they've been on board with us since August of 2019, so about 6 months or so. And we assign them stories every month. So they generate 2 packages of content for us. Ultimately, this feeds our whole platform. We put their blogs on our website with our photos. We push it out on social media. We put it in our emails. So it fuels, not that this is the only content that we're utilizing, but it at least gets us a start, given that we can't be everywhere at once. So I would encourage you to kind of use your network. It may not be that you have designated brand ambassadors for your company, but chances are you give somebody a t-shirt, give them a ball cap, and they'll probably wear it around. We have a whole line of Southwest Virginia shirts and hats, and I'll just give product away. Because ultimately, if you're from Southwest Virginia, chances are you're going to wear it. And 9 times out of 10, I'll talk with partners and say, yeah, I was wearing that shirt in Key West, and I had somebody come up and ask me where I was from in Southwest Virginia, because they're from, a town an hour away. So Southwest Virginians are everywhere, y'all. Okay, so going into goals. So when you're putting together your marketing program, ultimately you want to nail down that target audience. Really, what is your story? What makes you different from everybody else? And then really start to set some goals. So your slides actually are a little bit off, so you may have to flip a page or 2. I moved some things around last minute. Don't tell Sandy. Okay, so we'll talk about goals a little bit. And when I say what are your goals, is it that you want to sell a product? Ultimately, you want to sell a product. That should be one of your goals of your business. Do you want to familiarize people with your work? Do you want to encourage customers to visit your store? A lot of the marketing that we do for the Southwest Virginia Cultural Center is to drive people to the physical facility. We are very much trying to position it as a starting point to a trip to Southwest Virginia. Come start your trip to Southwest Virginia at the Cultural Center. So we actually run campaigns that are specific to telling a regional story. Come set foot in our cafe, try 85% local product. But it all has that hook, something that makes us unique more than any other, or something that makes us unique or sets us apart from other businesses. Yes, all of the above could be one of your answers to that. So with our marketing plan, this is really kind of the overall mission, if you will. So with our marketing plan, and ultimately all of this stuff that I'm talking about, we have documentation on, and I'm happy to share it with any of you. If you want to see our marketing plan, happy to send it to you. Because ultimately what we've created is something that you all can utilize just in your own unique way. And I have business cards over here if you want my information. So ultimately, increasing the visibility of the new Southwest Virginia brand and increasing visitation, residency, and investment in Southwest Virginia in a sustainable and culturally authentic way. So how do we do that? As I mentioned, we have several different channels. So with our Southwest Virginia marketing, one of our goals for this year is implementing a consumer email program. And I'm going to try to break it down for you all that I don't want you to look at these goals and say, oh, I have to do all of this. Because ultimately you're going to do your research, know who your customer is, and know what the most beneficial channels in order to reach that customer are. So I'm not telling you to start an email program. But if you all feel like you have that way to collect email addresses and collect information on people, email might be a good way to go. MailChimp is a great email provider. It's very low cost. So it could be really good if you're going to invite people to sign a guest book when they walk in. Ultimately, if you're collecting their information, you probably want to do something with it. Sending them emails is a great opportunity for that. Also, if you're planning on having like Clover or Square registers, you have the opportunity for people to put in their email address, their phone number. You can do loyalty programs and that kind of thing. You can pull those email addresses out, put them in an email provider, and send them a weekly email, a bi-weekly email, a monthly email. Hey, just wanted you to know, here's what's going on with my business. Have you been into the store recently? Phase 2 of our consumer website actually just went live a couple weeks ago. Stellar worked on that for us. So it's really awesome. If you want to check it out, visit swva.org. It has a very heavy integration with virginia.org, which is the state tourism site. And if you're a tourism business, highly recommend go to virginia.org, create a listing, put your events on there. It's a great resource, and ultimately it feeds directly to our website as well. So some other things that we focus on: content program, I mentioned, digital and social focused campaigns. I will add that we don't do, with our marketing program and with the budget that we have and the capacity that we have, we don't do a ton of traditional advertising. So a lot of what we do, we don't do a lot of print, don't place billboard ads, don't do a lot of radio, don't do a lot of TV. We are really heavy in the digital and social focused social focused realms, and we really put an investment in the content that we're producing. So that's just our approach. Not saying that you all need to take that approach, but it gives us more bang for our buck. We learn a lot more about our customers and people that are coming to our website. We learn our analytics. We can adjust very quickly. In traditional print advertising, if I place an ad in a publication that's like last year, I'll give y'all an example. Last year we placed some print ads for the Cultural Center, and as you all know, we closed in January of last year. We rebranded, we reorganized some things. There was a lot of different things that happened. So we placed these ads like we're super excited about the brand, want to push it out there to everybody. Every ad that I did had our hours information. Come October, we changed our hours. So now every ad that I had placed became irrelevant. Not that I would hope that they would go to our website or give us a call to get the most recent information, but all of those ads were now dated because we shifted our hours. And it was a business decision and ultimately was beneficial, but just things to keep in mind. In those kind of traditional advertising forms, you're not able to react as quickly as maybe you would with social media or digital or anything like that. Okay, just a few other things that we focus on here. We have launched or are getting ready to launch a marketing investment program. It's basically like a co-op program. If you want more information about that, don't hesitate to come and ask me. It will roll out mid-March, but it's basically a way for partners to kind of buy into our platform and reach a bigger audience. And then we also focus on public relations efforts, and I'll touch a little bit more about that in a later slide, and then utilizing the Cultural Center as a marketing tool for the region. Ultimately, anything that I push out through our websites, through our social media, through our email, is something that we can tell that story in the Cultural Center as well, and take advantage of the people that are coming through the doors wanting to learn more about the region. Again, that's our website. Go check it out. From the Cultural Center side of things, implementing a consumer email program. Again, we're in our first year, really, since we rebranded. Be really careful when it comes to email lists and databases, because there are lots of rules and regulations around sending people information or content if you haven't told them that you're collecting their information or content. So just because your friend down the road has an email database doesn't mean that you can take it and go send them an email about your company. So just be mindful of that. When Heartwood first opened in 2011, and we had lots of people coming through the doors, we had an email database of 20,000 people. And unfortunately, it sat for several years. We didn't send any emails. And so now we're having to think of creative ways to re-engage those people because they haven't heard from us in a few years. So ultimately, some of them will drop off, but just be careful with email, and Bill can elaborate more on that. They're like the email experts. But yeah. Phase 2 of the consumer website for the Cultural Center actually has an e-commerce layer. So if you all are interested in e-commerce, we can chat more about that. I won't get into too much of that today. But we're really treating the Cultural Center as the storefront for our artisans, so for our artisan network. So it has an e-commerce layer. We can sell tickets on there for events that are coming up. We can sell artisan work. Ultimately, anything that's in our point of sale system in the facility, we could have online. Of course, you run into a whole other list of things that you have to deal with shipping and weights and making sure that you can see all the way around the product, and everything that we have in the Cultural Center is unique. Each product is very unique. So ultimately, we would have to take a photo of everything at multiple angles and measure them all. And so it becomes quite a opportunity for us to put this information online. So we're kind of building that at a slow rate. We're hoping to have about 5 artisans online by the end of March. So very, very slow, but we're kind of getting our feet wet. It's a whole other layer when you talk about fulfillment, when you're actually shipping products, making sure that they're packaged appropriately. There are e-commerce platforms that you all can utilize that don't have to be on your physical website. And if you have questions about that, Bill can elaborate more. Telling regional stories, distributing a rack card, increasing visitation, customer satisfaction, employee customer services is a big one we'll talk about here in a little bit. If you want to check out our website, swvaculturalcenter.com. We just launched it back in March, so new to our platform, but we're really excited about it. It tells the story of the region, it tells the story of the facility. We are a visitor center, we are an artisan gallery, we have a cafe that serves 85% locally sourced product, so actually local farms in the region. And then we are a major venue on the Crooked Road. So lots of different stories to tell there. So ultimately, when we focus our efforts on promoting this facility, we talk about that it's a regional destination where you can experience all of these assets in one place. I'll give you kind of a fun fact. So when I first started working for Friends, I didn't really do any marketing for Heartwood. It was run by a different company. So it's been really fun now that we've had it for about a year to dig into web analytics and kind of figure out what people are searching for, running campaigns. We have Yelp listing, TripAdvisor listing, Google Business, all of that stuff. Actually engaging with people, we're getting such a great response. And now we're finding that people are searching for content on our website, or searching for content to get to our website, and we actually don't have that content on this platform. So it's really interesting as you think about your marketing. You may be surprised at what people are searching for, and they appear on your website. So for example, we are a major venue on the Crooked Road, and we do have information on our website about the Crooked Road. #1 search thing when people land on our website right now, as of September, is the Crooked Road. And it's really after the Kim Burns documentary came out. So people saw Kim Burns' documentary, fascinated by the Crooked Road, and they're appearing on our website. So ultimately, we need to adjust our marketing to make sure that we're producing content about the Crooked Road that's appearing on this channel. Make sense? Okay. Round the Mountain. So Round the Mountain is our artisan network. We have about 300 artisans that we work with. About 180 of them are juried. So in order to be able to sell your work in the Cultural Center, you have to be a juried artisan. And this is not really a forward-facing brand by any means. We utilize it more to speak to our artisans. So any marketing that we do is really kind of an internal basis. So for example, Round the Mountain has a Facebook page. It also has a Instagram. And when we first started doing their marketing, a lot of the things that they were pushing out on their Facebook page were, hey members, there's this show happening this weekend. If you want to register, here's the link. So they were talking to an audience like it was their members. In reality, the people that are following on this Round the Mountain Facebook page are curious about the artisan stories. So it's a totally different demographic, totally different audience than who we were trying to speak to. So we pulled that information out. We created a Facebook group for the members, and any information we need to convey to them, we put in that Facebook group, and we use the Facebook page to tell the story of our artisans, to talk about the great things that they're doing, showcase videos, photos, etc. roundthemountain.org is that website if you want to go check it out. Okay, what vehicles do you have to deliver this message? Website, email, we've talked about advertising, public relations, social media, trade shows, newsletters. Those are just part of it. Utilizing different media outlets. We actually, with the Cultural Center, we have a monthly spot on WJHL and WCYB. It recurs on our calendar. It's free. We don't pay for it. And I will, a couple days before, I'll send them an email and say, hey, we're going to talk about cooking along the Crooked Road classes and our new juried artisans. We'll go on there. We'll talk about it. Ultimately, they are wanting content just as much as you want to push your content. All you got to do is make a call. Same thing with Bristol Herald Courier, Washington County. Just make a call. Chances are somebody will come and cover whatever it is that you have going on. Tanya's back there shaking her head. Press releases. Also, not expecting you all to write a weekly press release by any means. We don't do that. Typically, we go through kind of a hills and valleys when it comes to the news that we're producing and that we're distributing. For example, last week we sent 2 press releases. It was just timely. But before that, it was probably a month since we had sent a press release. And press releases aren't they're not hard by any means. You don't have to be a writer to be able to write a press release. And there's so many great resources within town that can help you to distribute information. Wolf Whistle is a prime example of that. Emails that are available, distribution channels that are available if you just write the content. It doesn't have to be super long. It could be, typically when I write a press release for us, the first paragraph is about what is it, what's the message I'm really trying to convey, and who is it about. So if, for example, last Friday, we sent a press release about our 2020 calendar at the Cultural Center and our 2020 events and exhibits calendar at the Cultural Center. So in the introductory paragraph, I just say, Cultural Center, located off I-81, exit 14 in Abingdon, Virginia, announced their 2020 events and exhibits calendar. And then I go into kind of what all that entails. But just making sure that you say who it's about and really the message that you're trying to convey, because that's always going to be the leading line for a story if somebody picks it up and uses it. Social media. I love this quote as well. Content's fire, but social media is gasoline. So with our social media, this is our platform, if you will. So Southwest Virginia Friends, which is the group that we work for, Round the Mountain, and the Cultural Center that we've talked about a little bit. So as I mentioned, each of these platforms have a little bit of a different audience. We appeal to a different audience. So who we may approach from Southwest Virginia's perspective, residents, visitors, people that want to learn more information about the region, what can they experience when they get here, things to do, that kind of viral content. Whereas Friends, my organization, Facebook, LinkedIn, we are more business heavy. So a lot of the things that we push out are going to be press releases, groundbreakings, ribbon cuttings, we got a grant, all of those type of things where that would fit on our friends' Facebook or LinkedIn, but I'm not going to push that out through the visitor channel that has a much wider, ultimately, are there some of those things that they care about? For sure, but they don't care that I took a photo of our staff in a board meeting, right? It's just a different audience. So make sure that you do your research, you appeal to the audience that's on that network. Around the mountain, as I mentioned, I won't go into that anymore. And then just the cultural center and marketplace, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Twitter, on the other hand, is very real-time newsy. So it's not necessarily a platform that's going to be super beneficial for you if you tweet once every 8 days. It's all about engaging. It's all about that real-time content, interacting with people. It's very news-driven, so it's quick. So just know your place. Don't feel like you have to be on every channel. If you only have time for Facebook, only do Facebook. Pick one thing or two things and do them really well. Because ultimately, as you grow, you're going to be able to expand your platform a little bit. So I don't think all y'all need to get on TikTok. As a brand, we're not on TikTok. It just doesn't make sense for us right now. And brands are still trying to figure out who's heard of TikTok. Okay. All right. So it's super fun. Like if y'all haven't experienced it, it really is fun. And it skews a much, much younger demographic, very, very young demographic. So brands are all trying to, wrestle with what do we do with this platform. Ultimately, and Bill probably has more insight, they'll probably be purchased by somebody. Fair? Okay. Just like Instagram is owned by Facebook, TikTok will probably be purchased by somebody. So it may evolve into another platform, who knows. TikTok's like the new Vine, if anybody was a Vine follower. So know your audience, do what you can dedicate time to. Don't just, are there platforms that you can kind of set it and forget it? For sure. But really, when we talk about customer service, it's all about engaging with people. We've grown our following not because we're spending a ton of money. It's that we're engaging with people. We're commenting on things. We're liking their comments. We're just communicating with them, because a lot of times I think with brands, people feel like they're going to send a brand a message and they're never going to respond. Like if I send Nike a brand, or if I send Nike a message on Facebook, do I feel like they're going to respond? Probably not, but they're really big, and it's a different kind of brand. The Southwest Virginia, we're authentic. We've got this cultural diversity. We're homey, y'all. Like it's a good feeling when you come to this region. So we have to make sure that anything that we do is reflective of that. So I won't go down any marketing road that I feel like we compromise the authenticity of our brand. Ultimately, we have a Snapchat. Do we use it? No, not a ton. It was something that existed a long time ago. We're not on Pinterest. I can't dedicate the time to it right now. So don't be everywhere. Find what you can dedicate time to, where your audience is, put your efforts in that. If you want to follow us, here's our Southwest Virginia. And ultimately what we do here, we try to grow our following with social media. It's just another tool in the toolbox. So we want to drive people back to the website. We approach it from a monetization standpoint. What can I sell? To make sure that our marketing programs are around for a long time, or sustainable. We can't give everything away for free, unfortunately. Although I like giving things away for free. So we want to, produce content that we're going to be able to drive people back to the website where they can learn more information. Prime example of this, press release we sent out last week, Appalachian Trail Center in Damascus. Y'all probably know. It's a big deal. The second visitor center, destination center on the Appalachian Trail. The other one is in Harper's Ferry. So it is a big deal for Damascus to get it. We sent a press release out. Most popular press release we've ever sent, by far. And it is doing all of these things, ultimately, growing our following, supporting our partners, tells the story of Friends of Southwest Virginia and who we are. But it's driving people back to our website so they can read our press release. They can also see what else there is to do on the Appalachian Trail. It's not just about the Trail Center. Damascus is only one part of the larger Appalachian Trail in the region. So just one piece of the puzzle, but you've got them with a hook. Brand new visitor center. Come experience it. Oh, and by the way, go to Damascus Brewery, go to Wolf Hills Brewery, go to Abingdon Vineyards, go experience all these amazing restaurants, go hiking, go biking, all these great things. Y'all feel like I need to go through this, or like Facebook? You feel like we're good? Okay, cool. I'm going to skip over that then. But ultimately, I will hit on this because with social media in general, just as Paul mentioned earlier, it's another touch point for you all to interact with your customers, to give them the best customer service possible. How many people can remember a super positive customer experience they had? Okay, I had one recently. My city card, credit card, I got like a notification for a faulty charge somewhere in San Francisco. I call them up. I think this is fraud, and they say, okay, what do you want to do? This lady I was talking to on the phone, nicest credit card representative I have ever talked to in my life. She was so polite. How can we help you? Do you want to get a new card? It was like the what I want to call that, fluctuation of her voice. She wasn't monotone. She was very sensitive to the fact that this is not fun. Like, I don't want to go through and update my credit card information everywhere that it exists. She said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and update your new card information on every recurring charge website. That may happen automatically, y'all, but the fact that she told me that, I was like, yeah, that's awesome that I don't have to go update the Spotify. Like, nobody wants to have to do that. Like, it was something that I wasn't expecting that day, and she knew that. She knew that I didn't want to go through and do that with every place that my credit card exists. So that should be part of her job, right? As Paul was mentioning, some of this is common sense, but you would be surprised at how much people just don't have great customer service. And I remember that forever because I'm like, yeah, I'm keeping my city card now. I was going to cancel it, but now what's your name? I'm going to call and talk to you every time I have an issue. But she just went above and beyond. And that's when I'm going to fill out the survey that says, hey, you know what? This was a great experience. Y'all need to give her a raise. How many remember a negative customer service experience? I had one, this did not happen to me, but I'll give y'all this example. I did ask her permission to say this. So I have a friend, and I was telling this story to Hunter and Paul before we got started, but her dad took her lawnmower to a company, not too far from her. They'd never taken the lawnmower to him before. And she said, she had a friend send her a message. She said, hey, I think the Facebook page of the group that's doing your lawnmower is talking about your lawnmower. So you go on and you look at their posts, and it says basically something along the lines of, can't believe this customer didn't take care of her lawnmower. That's $150 in my pocket. Not good customer service, y'all. And her response was, I'll come pick it up. If you don't want to work on my lawnmower, I won't give you my $150.
This wasn't Turf Pros either.
It wasn't Turf Pros. Take your lawnmower to these guys.
Just want to clear that up with everybody.
And some people started commenting. They started responding to these posts and saying, hey, like, isn't that a paying customer? And their response was, we're not sacrificing our brand, basically. So, not a good customer service. Don't be those people. These are people that are giving you all money for an experience, for a service, for a product, and it goes back to respect. Not to say y'all would do that, but So the ones that we remember, right, are either somebody that went above and beyond or somebody that they couldn't be bothered, right? Couldn't be bothered with their business. So customer service is just another way that on Facebook you can engage. So answer messages. For all of our channels on my phone, I have alerts. So when we get messages or anything like that, I'll get notified. And again, to your point, you can respond with it within a couple minutes. And people traditionally are like, oh, wow, I didn't think that the Southwest Virginia brand was going to respond, you know. So yeah, all a part of the larger puzzle. Customer relationship inspiration. You can do special offers and sales. I'm sure you all know this information. Brand exposure, driving traffic to your website, all of those things, great information. Is Facebook enough? How much time do you have? We've talked about that. What audience are you trying to speak to? Starting with clear goals, choosing themes to tell your story, take time to do high quality content. Ultimately, when you all are putting together your plan, if you right out of the gate do your research, this is going to be an easy question for you to answer. A lot of people are on Facebook, so you kind of get cast a wider net, if you will, but the way that Facebook is shifting their algorithms, you more than anything now have to pay for your content to be seen. So if you're not familiar with Facebook business, Facebook ads, if you're just pushing out posts, if you're just pushing out events, typically you do need to spend a little bit of money, which is kind of, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because ultimately, if you do spend a lot of money, even if it's $5, you're reaching a much more targeted audience than you would just saying, hey, here's this photo that's really cool, look at it. You're much more specific with your program in general. Public relations, the thing that I'll mention about this, so PR, in a nutshell, is a great earned media opportunity. So as I mentioned, press releases, also your local resources, the Chamber, the Town of Abingdon, the Abingdon Convention and Visitors Bureau, they have public relations programs. So they, every day, their goal is to bring people to Abingdon, to sell Abingdon. So you need to be banging on their doors saying, here's my story, here's why it matters, this is why I want to be involved. Be involved. I would rather, with Southwest Virginia, do it to me too. I would rather get an email every other day than not hear from you at all. Because ultimately you can't expect people to know what's going on. You can't expect them to know what your events are, what your news is, if you don't tell them. Don't expect them to just see it. Just call them up. Call Tanya. Tanya, here's what I got going on.
I've got some step-by-step instructions on how to get on Virginia.org.
Yes.
So I will share those with you all. When you create your account on Virginia.org and then you create events, it automatically comes over to the Visit Abingdon website. So you enter your content once, but it ends up on both websites. So I will send you some information on that. I also have the contact information for WJHL and WCYB for you to make appointments if you want to be on the noon show or Daytime Tri-City.
Yep.
So I'll share that.
Awesome. Thank you. We've talked about some of this stuff, but ultimately, be a community partner. Be involved in things, even if it's not about your business. We talked about branding. Get a t-shirt and a hat made, wear it to the grocery store, wear it to the farmer's market, wear it everywhere. People are going to start to recognize it. They're going to start to pick it up. And if they have a good experience with you, traditionally they're going to be like, oh, you know what? I saw that guy in the grocery store and he had a Turf Pros hat on. And like, I wonder what Turf Pros is, and it's going to trigger something in their mind. So be your own brand ambassador, but also be involved. Don't always feel like you need something out of it. Chances are it could just be a great networking opportunity. This group around the room is ultimately going to be big supporters of your businesses. So be involved with each other, communicate with each other, have everybody's contact information so that you can kind of build that network before you get out in that real world practice. And tracking. So ultimately, building your marketing plan, pushing content out there. Ultimately, you need to be tracking it because you want to be able to adjust if you need to shift directions. So what are some ways that you can do that? Google Analytics, super user-friendly and easy to use, just to see what pages people are landing on your website. What are they searching for? All of those things are great when it comes to, is what I'm doing, if I'm spending money, is what I'm doing working? Data collection, we talked about collecting email addresses and that kind of thing. Research, surveys, SurveyMonkey again is super easy to use. Informal questioning, ask people. Go to the farmer's market and ask people. Chances are, if you engage with somebody and say, hey, I'm here from such and such business, tell me what you think about XYZ. They'll probably tell you. Now, you might get those people that say, hey, I don't want to be bothered. But you move on and don't take it personal and ask the next person. But typically people will answer whatever question that you have. Your resources, town of Abingdon, they all do that as well. Local hotels, all of your area businesses typically do this kind of informal questioning and surveying already. So it may be something that you can already tap into. Sales data, see if what you're doing is working well. Resources. So what are your resources? Coming up with a budget. How much money do you have to spend on marketing? Do you have any money? It could be no. Like, that's not a bad thing. There are lots and lots of resources available, even if your marketing budget is small. Earned media opportunities, public relations, utilizing your partners, utilizing your network. Typically with new business development, a lot of people don't realize kind of like third degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? Like who's right in your kind of wheelhouse. Chances are there's a friend of a friend who needs the product that you're offering. All you got to do is start to put out information. So what are your owner-employee skills? Make a list. What are my skills? What are my strengths? What am I going to need help with? If you're not a marketing person, that's okay. There's a lot of other people who are that you can get help and resources from. Again, if you all want to sit down and talk about marketing plan, we absolutely can do that. We are all open books when it comes to that. Friends and family, partnerships, local, state, federal assistant, chambers, we've talked about that, Main Street program, all of those resources are also available. Small business development centers, Sandy and her team at Virginia Community Capital. There's a lot of people who are working in small business development, and there's a lot of resources that are available. Also, just under the expectations that marketing plans change, don't think that what you put together today or in the next couple of weeks is going to be what the marketing plan that you're going to have for the next 10 years. Because platforms change, people change, wants change, economic factors, technology, there's always change. Change is a constant. So just keep that in mind. Don't feel like you have to have everything in a document format right out of the gate, because it's going to need to be flexible. Okay. Questions? Yeah.
What would you say? What advice would you give to a company that has the customer is receiving the product or not the customer's paying for the product? So, for example, like I'll be working with students, but it's the superintendents and school boards that are going to be paying, even though it's the students with whom I'm working and the teachers.
Sure.
And the marketing aspect. I mean, do you have any suggestions on that kind of marketing aspect?
Well, to me, your audience is really your superintendents and supervisors, right? So your marketing program is all going to be centered around what information do I need to convey to them, because ultimately you're building this program for the students, but your paying customer is that larger group. So any marketing that you produce needs to be directed towards them, not directed towards the student.
Yeah.
So even with that, like, you could be very grassroots with it. I know that education in general is a little bit hard to break into, but I mean, it could be that you cold call. It could be that you create flyers. It could be that you approach in a very grassroots way, and social media may not be super beneficial for you until you get the program up and running, because then chances are, if you get that one person to buy into it, they're going to talk to their friends, right? Word of mouth is going to spread. They're going to say, hey, I worked with this guy. I had great customer experience with him. He has a really cool program. You should check it out. So it could be a very grassroots level. And I would just encourage you to not get discouraged if everybody doesn't say, I want to buy into it right away, because that's probably going to be something that it's literally going to be somebody calling up their friend and saying, this was really cool. You need to check it out. He's got this website that's got great information. Here's the link. And I would also, like, referral programs are also something to consider. That may not be necessarily like a marketing tactic by any means, but give somebody a discount if they refer you to a friend or refer you to a superintendent at another school district or school. Because money talks, right? Like, you give somebody a considerable discount, and chances are they'll probably get on the phone and call whoever it is that's on top of their mind. But also there's boards that you can go talk to. There's organizations that you can go talk to, at least to spread the news a little bit. You might have to start to do some presentations to kind of get the word out. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of marketing suggestions from people.
Okay.
There's a big generational gap that I'm noticing is that everyone who's a bit older than me, which is a lot of people, they are saying that people over 55 don't use social media. They don't use Facebook. They don't look at things on there. Is that something that you guys find to be true, or is that kind of just opinionated by that one person?
55 and over for sure, Facebook.
Oh,
That's where we, yeah.
Which I got, people over 55 don't use Facebook, and I'm like,
That's not true.
okay, you don't?
I wouldn't say that's super
I
true.
got told Facebook was for old people.
It
My child.
depends on who you
Oh,
ask.
I didn't know what Instagram was.
But I would also say, so I'll give you an example. Our artisans, we've got artisans all across the board. Everything from artisans that have their own Etsy store to ones that don't have email or a phone. So we have to cover kind of the spectrum. We have a student membership, so we've got, high school age students up to in their 80s. So it's a wide demographic that we're trying to talk to. We had an artisan market last year at some point that we didn't have a ton of visitation. It was on a weird weekend, like we didn't have a ton of people through the door. And the feedback that we got from the artisans that were demoing at that and selling their work at that specific market was, you all didn't advertise in the newspaper, so nobody came. So, with that said, you kind of have to appeal to the demographic that you're trying to reach. That's one person's opinion, and ultimately, I'm thinking about the larger marketing program. Would it be good to probably do some newspaper advertisements? For sure. Did we have the time or the money at the time to do it? No. So you kind of have to pick your battles a little bit and ultimately put your money in where it's going to give you the most bang for your buck. What do you have time to dedicate to? If you don't have time to call 5 different newspapers to place an ad, it may not be it may be beneficial to you if you're trying to reach a very specific audience that still reads the paper. And not to, I love reading the paper. So it's not just a specific audience, but you kind of have to think about where your market is engaging with your content. But I wouldn't say that that there's nobody over 55 on Facebook. Bill agrees with me, I heard him. It's true.
The good thing about Facebook Analytics, it tells you what age people are that are looking at your page.
Right.
Where they're at and their,
It breaks everything down,
so you can
yeah.
see exactly the age range that's coming to your page.
And we had a varied range tonight on the site, on Facebook, listening, watching.
Cool. Yeah.
Couple questions. Do you have any stats, or this is way back, a while back, but do you have any stats about people that are visiting our area? I noticed you had the UK, Canada, other international stats of people that are visiting Abingdon a lot, or?
Yeah. From specifically an international demographic or
Yeah,
just in general?
I was just thinking, I saw you had UK and Canada. I'm like, is that worth my time and marketing
Sure.
dollars to venture into those?
So we'll say it's very expensive. And a lot of any marketing that we've done in the UK has been specifically about the Crooked Road.
Okay.
So the Crooked Road is a worldwide known
Okay.
brand. Ultimately, do we have the budget from Southwest Virginia's perspective to advertise in the UK? No. But through resources like Virginia Tourism, they do have tons of information and metrics specific to localities. So Washington County in particular, they can give you specifics on who is visiting Washington County. And there's tons of numbers that come along with that. We more focus on the region. So we compile the data from those 19 counties, 4 cities. But Tanya or Jane During with the Abingdon CVB would be able to get you that if you're looking for specifics.
Are they still putting that on the website?
Yeah, VTC has vatc.org. Yeah.
You can break it down, look at county by county.
Mhm.
I don't think it breaks it down into town, but you can look at each county in the state of Virginia.
I mean, I know when I worked at the bike shop in Damascus, I know we would have international guests come ride the Creek Patrol fairly often. I mean, maybe not every week, but at least once or twice a month. So I just kind of wondered.
The other really cool program that Virginia Tourism offers that's really neat, and again, Bill would know more information about this than I do, but they have this program called Arrivalist that they can literally, I don't know how expensive it is, but they can literally track IP addresses. So, for example, if someone logged on to virginia.org and was in New York State, and they came into Virginia and opened that same device, whether it's laptop, phone, it will ping them and say, this person was searching in New York and arrived in Virginia. And so they have that kind of metric system set up. I don't know how expensive it is, or we don't buy into that program, but they do have that tool and could probably share some information with you about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second thing, this may just be phone error or something, but I know you were talking about you have all your alerts from your platforms. So like if you have a business page on Facebook, like I can't get alerts like direct messages from a business page on Messenger on my phone for some reason. I'm just getting personal account.
Right. So I have an app called Facebook Pages.
Facebook pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's super helpful because you can respond to messages right in like your page, and then you can even like publish events and that kind of thing like directly from that app.
It'll show your ad analytics on it too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's free.
And it's really helpful if you want to schedule your posts on your pages too, like maybe Sunday afternoon after your nap, because that comes in first, right? Your nap. Then you can just schedule different things going at different times during the week, so that if you don't have that burden on your shoulders that I have got to post something today, you could go ahead and do that little work. But Facebook Pages is a really good app.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great questions. Okay. So we'll dig into a little bit more of customer service. We've talked about this a little bit briefly, but I am going to invite Bill up to talk about customer service as well. So word of mouth, as you all know, super powerful. Anybody recognize this little guy? Anger. He's my fave. Okay. I love that movie. I don't know why. It's like a feel-good movie. Customer service, reviewing websites. Make sure you do have a listing on Google for your business. That's really important. Hours information, website information. It's where people can review you and rate you. So great to have. We actually have Google business listings for each part of our business. So Round the Mountain's got one, Crooked Road's got one, Cultural Center has one. So we kind of break them apart. It's more listings to manage, but ultimately, again, it's got different information. We can't bulk it all together.
And keep your hours up to date.
Hours up to date.
Your
It's
hours
important.
change. Be sure to go on Google and listen. Because people get on that phone, and they look, and they see that you're open, and they go in the parking lot, and that door's locked, is not right there.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah. Also, typically you can set up alerts through your email. Like if there's a certain day you're going to be closed, like if you're closed Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, you can set special hours. Same thing with Yelp. Same thing with TripAdvisor. You can mark like specific days that you're going to be closed. Maybe you're closed every Saturday and Sunday. You can mark that information accordingly. Word of mouth, though, super powerful, y'all. You don't want this. You don't want somebody calling you with that. But if they do, respond in a very polite way. Typically, when we get comments on the cultural center side of things, I always like to, I step away and then I come back to it and I have some fun with it, right? Like typically, it's kind of like when you craft an email when you're really mad and then you don't click send and you say, okay, I'm gonna walk away and I'm gonna come back, and I have a little fun with it, I won't lie. So when someone's just really fired up about something, again, they're looking for a solution, they're looking for you to give them an answer as to why they're unhappy. So when you respond in a very polite way. Don't respond in a condescending way. Don't respond in a passive-aggressive way. But just remember that you don't know what's going on in their life, so don't take it personally. It's just business. But try to approach it in a very lighthearted, fun way. It's just another opportunity for you to engage with a customer. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. When we get comments that are negative, typically they will be in the comment line of a post that we've done. They won't send me a direct message. And typically, if it is something that needs to be handled, I will give them my our office number. I'll give them my email in order to remove it from a public forum. You ultimately don't get in the comments and have a debate with somebody about why their food was too salty. At the end of the day, it's not going to be a good thing. So if you need to remove it from that public forum, I would encourage you to do so. Don't have a debate on social media. Don't post photos of people's products that they don't take care of. Not good. Okay, great, not good customer service. Again, engaging with people. If they have a good customer experience with you, if they enjoy your product, they enjoy the experience that they had, they're going to tell people about it. Doesn't matter if that other person is in the need for your product right now or not. They're going to know that the experience that they have is solid. They're going to know that it's something that they can expect on an ongoing basis. Like, I would encourage you all to go buy Citi cards now because I had such a great experience with our customer service team. Same thing with, you think about like credit card companies. Airlines are the same way. Typically when people call, it's because something has not gone right. My flight got canceled, somebody's using my credit card in San Francisco. So they have to approach it in a very user-friendly, polite way. Try to make the end customer's life a little bit better. How can I make your life easier today? Because I know, and you can start off with, hey, yeah, that stinks. Let me figure out how to fix it. And if you can't fix it right there in that moment, tell them, give me an hour, I'll figure out how to fix it. Offer a free meal. Again, offer a free product. Offer them a discount. Something that will smooth it over, and ultimately at the end of the day, it's not going to cost you a lot. And that customer, it's going to cost you more if that customer shares that bad experience with everybody that they know. Maybe they'll put it on their Facebook page and tell the world about what a terrible experience they had at your business. So always remember, you may just be interacting with that one person, but they've got lots of other touch points. So always be nice and polite. Helps with a repeat visitation, low-cost way to increase profits. And if done right in a fun way, can boost employee satisfaction and morale. We haven't implemented this at the Cultural Center yet, but if you have a business that's going to have more than a few employees, maybe you're in the service realm, service industry. I was talking to a business out of Whitful, one of the breweries up there, and they also own some of the Moondogs and Bellas. Well, they started an employee customer service program, essentially. So if their employee shares something that they posted from the brand channel on their personal Facebook page, they'll give them a discount on food, or they'll give them some kind of incentive for why should I push this out through my network? And ultimately, it's a very grassroots approach. Typically, who follows me on Facebook may not be who follows you or you. So there's a network out there that you may not be tapping into, and it could be as small as giving your employee a t-shirt or giving them 15% off on one of your products. So it could be something really small that will go a long way. This part, did you like that, Bill? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to bring up Bill May from Stellar Studios. So Stellar is based in Johnson City, Tennessee, and we've been working with them since January of last year, maybe, so about a year. And we love working with these guys. They are a custom agency, so they do a lot of custom development. They do a lot of custom work. And for us and our platform, it's really been refreshing because we needed such a different kind of experience. So I'm going to let him just speak a little bit as far as customer service from the agency side of things, because I'll admit I'm super needy. I'm a super needy client. I will call Bill all the time and say, Bill, the website's not working, what do we do? So I'm just going to let him touch on briefly from the agency side. You all might consider working with an agency, and I'm sure Bill would love to have that conversation with you, but I think he brings a different perspective from customer service.
Yeah, I do. Good to see everyone. What?
I'm gonna give you this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I own Stellar Studios, and I have been in the digital space and have had Stellar Studios for just north of 20 years. So I've seen a lot of things change, including our own agency. When I first started it out, much like a lot of people here, I'm sure, I started it back bedroom and worked 2 jobs at the same time. In between time, I pushed this business. And I finally grew it big enough that I could move it out of the house, but I was still the guy answering the phone, the guy selling the jobs, the guy designing, and then the guy coding. Finally, I got enough that, okay, I can hire my first employee, but I'm still down in the ditches. And then look over, okay, client's calling. I know what they're calling about. I'm not done with it yet. I'll get it done tonight. 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, still not done. Next day, another client calls. Okay, this is the noisy wheel again. I got to respond to them, but I'll get them next time. So when I first started out, I ended up getting a little bit of a bad reputation of Bill's great if you can wait. And it took a number of years to overcome that. So the main thing is to respond to client, even if you're going to be late, if you can beat them to it, if you're not going to hit deadline, and say, listen, there's no way we can hit deadline. We've got everybody in the shop, all hands on deck. There's no way we can do it. I wanted to give you a heads up. They have a chance to do something about it, rather than deadline come, deadline go, and they're calling next day. I thought I was getting this today, or yesterday. I didn't get an email. I got PR lined up, getting ready to go out, and now I've got to yank everything or do some kind of patchwork. And so the best thing I can say is like touching on things that you said is respond to messages as quick as possible. Every time that we get messages, either online submissions, social media, whatever, I respond typically within an hour. And my responses back has always been the same. Wow, you guys are so far the only ones that's even responded. And we'll be way out of their market, and because word of mouth is number one, but then we'll get clients from Atlanta. Atlanta is a decent market for us, and we've got a decent network of word of mouth out there, but they don't know my email address personally. It's like, oh, you need to reach out to Stellar Studios. What's their email address? I don't know. So they'll look us up online and ping us, and they're just blown away by our turnaround time of response. because it's not typical in our industry, because I think a lot of them start up like I was and not responding. Yeah, you're wearing a lot of hats, but the number one marketing thing is word of mouth. And the number one death of your business is not responding to those clients and not addressing their needs and heading off any issues that you can ahead of time. And as far as customer service goes, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. Is you got to respond, you got to take care of them. Everybody wants to feel like they're the number one client. You know, I'll drop, or the only client, yeah. And I'll drop what I'm doing, you know, answer phones. If I'm banging out an email, I'll answer, especially if I get a 911 or whatever. And because that happens in the digital space. Things move around, you know, gnomes in the machine, whatever. I'll get 911 calls and we'll drop what we're doing. And a lot of that is what has helped us grow, is a lot of those 911 calls that sometimes aren't even client of ours. I can't reach my agency. I need you to see if you guys can fix this. You know, website got hacked once, another client in Atlanta, and within a matter of 24 hours, they became from artificial intelligent video compression to the #1 ranked site for Russian dating. 24 hours, 1,400 injections to their website. Well, they couldn't reach their agency that day. It was 911, and they said, call these guys. And in 24 hours, we had it cleaned up, everything removed, and the Google warning removed. And so it's that kind of service that, you know, you can turn a negative into a positive and just do what you can, all hands on deck, and respond to your clients, to your people. You know, just even if you don't have great news to give them, you know, you just got to give them as much. Be proactive, not reactive. Yeah.
I think part of customer service is knowing when to hire somebody else so that you can maintain your customer base or continue to grow.
It is. I mean, that, you know, one of my first hires, should have been my first hires, was a project manager. But I kept putting it off. I was like, they're not really generating any income, you know, because they're not producing anything. But that was one of the best hires I have ever made, because I am not now the one that's going around making sure that, because we're 17 strong now, and I am not the one going around to each person making sure that they're doing job, seeing where the task is. Now I've got one person that I report to or get reports from, and he's the one making sure that everybody's staying on track, cracking the whip and all that good stuff, and getting the report saying, hey, we're not going to make it. Yes, we're going to make it. Actually, we're going to be 2 days early. So it is a tough transition, and knowing when to do that is, if you're overwhelmed and can't get to the phones, yeah, it's time to pull the trigger on one of those.
So do you kind of have a rule of thumb about, you know, when it's financially beneficial for you and your company?
Yes, if you can't respond to the phone calls or the emails, all of them, within 48 hours, because that's kind of the max. And some require response within 48 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. But if you can't respond to those within 48 hours, then it's time to pull the trigger, because you've got 2 days worth that's starting to stack up, and it's time to, even just part-time. You know, my first one to bring in to help with some of those things, yeah, it was a part-timer.
So does anybody have any questions?
And I will just kind of add, I will just add from the agency perspective. I mean, it came to that point with us that we realized I don't have, as a marketing team of one, I don't have the expertise that Bill and his 17 staff members do. And to Bill and his team's credit, they do make me feel like I am the #1 customer. Bill gave me his personal cell phone. He probably regrets that now, but you have to be able to set boundaries as well. If you don't want, not every client is going to maintain the 9 to 5 ratio, but you know, I respect Bill. I respect that the work that they do. I'm not going to call him at 9 o'clock at night. So I think you just have to know what your boundaries are. You have to know who your clients are. I don't know if Bill gives his cell phone out to every client, but it does make me feel like when I need something done, that it's going to be addressed in a timely manner, which is why we've been working with them for a year, and we'll continue to work with them, just because of the customer service that they provide. The product that they provide is equal to the customer service that they provide, and they make me feel special. So I'm going to give them all my money. But yeah. Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I mean, unless anyone has any questions, customer service, digital, otherwise, like I said, we've been playing in the digital space since '98, so if you have any questions around social, e-com, anything like that, I guess that's it.
I think if you're looking at setting up a business and you're looking at going into, say, a partnership, then I know for the company that I work for, not the one that I'm working here with startup, but I look for a partner that complemented what I had, but maybe had skills I didn't have.
Right.
So you know, if both the partners have exactly the same skills, it doesn't work as well as maybe another partner that has some of the skills that you don't have.
Right, and that holds
that's
very
why
true.
It works for us.
Yeah, and for us, when I very first started Stellar, we were, like I said, it was '98. So internet was, you know, when you signed on, it made all that noise, you know, in this box over here, and everything was really slow. But those days, you know, it was if you build it, they will come. And so we worked with a lot of ad agencies, you know, because we offered things that they didn't have in-house, custom programming and stuff like that. They could do all the design and look and everything, but they didn't have the developers. So that was where I started at, was developing. And then as internet got faster, everything grew. The days of if you build it, they will come were over. So now you got to market everything, and we decided to step into that realm as well. And we just hired experts around those, you know, to help out, because I couldn't do everything anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
And going off your point about going to the people that are the experts, I don't know if y'all are super familiar with what the California Privacy Policy Act and all that stuff that's getting ready to come down the pike. I am not knowledgeable about it. So I call Bill and his team and say, can you make sure we're shored up as far as this California stuff goes, to make sure that we don't get sued?
Yeah.
So it's worth the money to go to somebody who's an expert on the subject matter to make sure we don't get sued. So
yeah, and that one is in effect now, and just hope that, you know, you're small enough and do not get caught by that one. You know, there's other things that came in effect. January is, if you do e-com, online sales on your own, you've got to collect sales tax wherever you sell it from. And now, if your website is just local and you're not doing anything in California at all, no visitors, nothing, you don't have to comply. Because right now it's just a California thing. But if a visitor visits your site in California, then you have to comply. It's California's version of GDPR, the General Data Protection Rights. And so you have to comply to those. And it's a new thing that came in effect this year. Yeah.
other questions? You'll be around for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I know we're running short on time, Sandy, so you just wave me down when I need to be quiet. Okay, so we've already talked about some stuff related to the Cultural Center. I did just want to hit on visitor intercept surveys. If you do have the luxury of being able to do some visitor research and information gathering before you launch a business, it's always more beneficial. So we did some just kind of high-level surveying of the visitors that were coming into the facility back before we reopened. So primary motivation for visiting, knowing that it's arts and crafts, what their initial reaction was. That's always good information to have, overall experience. This was a big one for us because ultimately the goal of that facility is to drive people into the region. And so this was a big question. Did your visit to the Cultural Center inspire more travel to Southwest Virginia? It was a little bit equal, but 60% said yes, it did. Where people are from, always good information to have, where they visited you from, more specifically, surrounding area, so you can really kind of get your baseline, know if when you do start spending some money, whether your marketing is actually working. Are you reaching the demographics that you want to reach? And then just ultimately, partnerships are huge. Stronger together, be involved in anything and everything that you can, what your time allows. These are just a few of the resources that are available for partnerships. Call me, happy to answer any questions that you have. Virginia Tourism, Department of Housing and Community Development, VCC, Town of Abingdon. I mean, there's wealth of resources available to you all. Other resources that I'll just mention here really quick. I mentioned email. MailChimp is a great one. Constant Contact is also one that we've used in the past. Canva, if you don't have kind of Adobe products, Canva is a very, it can be a free tool, and it also, if you do subscribe to a monthly subscription, it's very low cost, like $9.99 or something. It's not expensive at all. But you can create graphics, you can create flyers right in an online cloud-based tool. So Canva is a great resource. If you do have a little bit more money to spend, iStock is also a good resource if you want those kind of like high quality images and don't want to buy a camera. I think there's different levels depending on what you buy. I think ours is $70 a month, but I'm sure there's other pricing plans as well. Your iPhone or your Android takes great photos. Don't feel like you have to buy a DSLR camera or buy high quality equipment. And chances are that one of these partners that I've mentioned previously probably has a camera that they would loan you if you really wanted to do some video work. So just keep that in mind. News and media outlets, traditional advertising, we've talked about that. Events, make sure you're putting events on Facebook, make sure you're putting events on virginia.org. As Tanya mentioned, they fuel Visit SWVA, our site, and also Visit Abingdon's website. So there's several places that you can get a lot of bang for your buck. Don't feel like you have to put events on 30 different websites because ultimately figure out how much time you have to dedicate to it. Go to the places that are going to reach your audience, going to give you the most bang for your buck for your time invested. Engage with Bill and I. Here's our email addresses. I have business cards. Bill's probably got some too. He's not giving you his personal cell phone number though. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Reach out to me. We are an open book. Our organization is here for you all. This is our bread and butter. So don't think that any question is a dumb question. I've probably asked it before. So engage with us. And thank you all. That's all I have.
So do you all have any questions before we start preparing for next week? Do you have any questions of the guest speakers tonight? Or do you have any questions from the team as far as where you are in your business plan or what you're doing? Do you have anything I can help you with? That's what you're here for. That's why you're in a captive audience. Is there anything you need?
I have one question.
Yeah.
In my line of business, the biggest thing that I have a problem with is being overwhelmed with all the avenues that people can contact me by.
Oh, sure.
Okay, and I know that probably sounds a little big, but you know, you have Facebook. I have Facebook for my business personal. I have just my regular phone, which is my business phone, and my personal. People contact me through text, email. I book online. They contact me through online. When they book an appointment, they'll send me a message and da-da-da. Yelp has been fantastic. So if you don't have Yelp, let me tell you, I have got more business just in the last year when I signed up, just from random people. I've got 2 just this week. Okay, I've done that for 34 years. I mean, the flood of my little ratio, you know how you get a little, well, you know, you can have your little highs, your little lows, and your little here.
Yeah.
So, but I have, you know, Messenger through Facebook, people message me through there. I get so overwhelmed, because, you know, I know he had spoke on, you know, contact, you know, get back. You know, I even heard him give his little testimony about, you know, within that few minutes, you know, contacted. I can get to the point that my husband is like, you need to get off your phone.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, because so-and-so means this and so-and-so means that, and they contact me here and they contact me there. So I get very overwhelmed, and, you know, I do try to, I've got 2 people, I have to admit, I've got 2 people out dangling right now. That has been, I'm not gonna say, I'm embarrassed to say, but it has not been in his few minutes, and we're going into days, okay? I normally don't do that, but I've been so overwhelmed. How do you put yourself out there to be able to be contacted without being overwhelmed, without being letting somebody go through the gap, but yet be efficient, but it not consume you so much that you're like, okay, who did I talk to? And that's another thing. Who did I talk to? What did I talk to them about? Sure. I can't say anything in 2 words or less. You know, and you know how most of us are, we can't, because we feel like we have to explain.
I'm
It
gonna,
ain't easy.
I'm gonna let Bill take this because,
So, you know, that's probably one of my little biggies
Yeah.
that
Right.
is hard to juggle.
we have a little bit of a barrier, because a lot of the visit, I mean, we have 26 staff members on our team, so a lot of the visitor questions that we get are coming to our front desk. So we have people at the front desk every day answering the phone saying, oh, cool, let me help you with that. So I'm going to let you talk about kind of like consolidated ways.
Right.
That, yeah.
Yeah. No, there's, I fight the same thing. You know, I get text messages, emails, online submissions, and the thing is, you know, there's some free tools out there, some CRMs, customer relations management, like Zoho. Zoho's free. But, you know, you also get to a point, so are you the single hairdresser in your business,
Well,
or?
I have 2 other employees, and they do the same thing. You know, they have that same issue with all those different avenues
Right.
of being contacted.
Sure.
Not counting just people walking in. I mean, I done a consultation yesterday on my day off, so I'm like, you know, making sure they're put with the right person, and, you know, it like I said, it just kind of gets a little bit overwhelmed.
It
Because
can.
you want to make that point, and you want to make that contact, and you want to make sure that they're taken care of, because they're important.
Right. Yeah, there's a number of ways to approach that, either through CRM. Maybe it's time to hire a part-timer to alleviate that while you're.
I've done that too. I've had a job opening for probably 6 months,
Mhm.
and everybody that I have had to apply is either, I've had 2 that wasn't even in the field. You know, they wasn't even in the hairdressing field. They just wanted to come and work. I'm like, honey, you know, you can't. You have to be licensed and go through the avenues to be able to be, you know, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but there's a process.
Right. But now to just book appointments and take general inquiries and, you know, to validate the calls that is coming in, you know, it could be on someone that maybe is not quite familiar with the field or maybe has none at all. My first hire of a front desk person had no idea what digital anything was. And it was just a person that had a good phone voice and very personable. And because she was the one responsible for answering the phone call when it came in. And so it was that friendly voice, hey, and as she worked there for, I'd say about 6 months, she got fairly familiar with digital and started enjoying it, decided to learn more on her own, and then was very helpful, worked into full-time and helped out a lot. And just kind of on the job training.
Our beauty school student because they're already interested in the field, they might be already learning some things. We start them out answering those kind of questions and.
There's also online PAs,
Yeah.
you know, online personal assistants that can take control of those channels for you, validate, and only send you the ones that they either have questions they can't answer, or say this one's been validated, they want to book an appointment, and they have access to your calendar and they've booked it for you.
Well, I mean, I do have that. I mean, I have a system set up where they book their own appointments, they select their own time, they could cancel and reschedule and book 6 months ahead.
Mhm.
But that has actually given me a lot of time where I'm not interrupted while I am working. But it's just the fact that just having, in this world, you know, when I first got started, you know, you just basically had to check your voicemail.
Right.
You know, click that button.
Remember those?
You get the whole thing, voicemail's full, you know, you call them back.
Right.
But you just have so many avenues. I guess my thing is I just don't want to get lost in all the busyness of this, that my customers feel like that I have put more time in to this, even though this is important too. You know, you want to make that contact.
Right.
Like I said, there's just so many avenues to be contacted by.
It is, and it can get overwhelming, you know, like, but there's a few ways to consolidate those. There's really good CRMs that are about $800 a month, and they will consolidate all of those for you, and you have one point of response. And you can go in and see all of those, from website submissions, social submissions, Yelps, the everything, your text messages. They can text message from the website, and it consolidates all of that, so you have one place to respond and one place for every one of your conversation threads. It brings in your email, and even will filter out the ones you can say, all right, this is mom, she doesn't need to be in the CRM, you know, so put her out. Yeah. And so, you know, you can get very granular with them as well. It's a little bit of setup on the front end, and you know, you think $800 a month, whoa, that's a lot, but at the same time, what's a salary a month?
$10 an hour is $400 a week.
Yeah.
Plus employment taxes, so he's right. I mean, it does sound, and the other thing about service businesses is they expect personal service. But what's happened is you've given them all your personal information, and there's no way for you to, you know, so it might be good if you change the phone number, you get another phone, and you change the phone number on your scheduling, and you know, and if you get a Facebook message, you know, say, could you call me in the morning, or, you know, here's my new number, so that you can get rid of your business phone and your personal phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's, you know, with a lot of, Facebook's gotten fairly decent in their AI on the messaging side. So you can set up bots to automatically answer things for you.
Yeah, automations, emails and stuff like that. Very helpful.
Yeah.
That, you know, that I would, you know, get with them, you know, just my personal thoughts, and, you know, just put in there just a little paragraph that is automatically generated to send them, you know, that I'll get back with them just as soon as I can, just, you know, short and sweet, but.
Sure.
And I do try to follow through, but like I said, it just, and some months is a little more than others, just depending on what's going on in them, you know, in the little world.
It is, and like I say, you know, ultimately it may be time to hire that part-timer, and it'll be adjustment for your clients. I want to talk to Bill, I don't want to talk to you. Yeah, I've talked to Bill for 3 years now. Yeah.
Say, you know,
Right.
in their hair, sometimes it gets a little, like that little personal, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I get it, but it's an adjustment, and once they realize that, okay, well, I am getting a better response, and Bill does call me back, you know, so it works out.
It's just, I guess, just finding that balance.
It is finding the balance, and eventually it will pay for
Being
itself.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, I'd still be back with, you know, myself and maybe another person if I didn't do that, because I can only handle a certain amount of projects.
There's exactly.
Yeah, and so existing businesses that are competing, that's probably what you need to start thinking about is that job. What job are you trying to create? Are you trying to create somebody that can help you with scheduling and that does a little marketing and all of that? Or is it somebody else that's gonna do another service? That's part of, you know, your plan here for an existing business. What is the most important job I need to create to make my business thrive? As far as, you know, the startups, you are the job, so you're gonna need more help with what are the pitfalls? Where do I, you know, what are gonna be my pitfalls? Any other questions? Okay, very good. We'll see you all next week at 6 o'clock. And this session is Where's the Money? If you miss this one, this is a good one. So be sure to be here and have a good weekend.